Here we go again. Ted Cruz and his MAGA cronies are out here misrepresenting facts like it's their full-time job, which, let's be honest, it basically is at this point.
Arctic frost is Joe Biden's Watergate. Merrick Garland was a fundamentally corrupt attorney general. Jack Smith was a fundamentally corrupt prosecutor. This was a political enemies list from the beginning. 197 subpoenas for 430 Republican entities and individuals. That is an absolute and egregious abuse of power.
So Cancun Cruz just called Arctic frost Joe Biden's Watergate. Arctic frost, which sounds like a rejected Ben & Jerry's flavor, is apparently what happens when the DOJ does the bare minimum of investigating an attempted coup. And somehow that's the scandal? Let me get this straight. The DOJ issued subpoenas to investigate January 6th and the attempts to overturn the election. And that's the scandal, not the actual, attempt to overturn an election. That's like robbing a bank and then screaming, the investigation is the real crime. Here's the thing. Watergate was a president ordering a break-in and covering it up. He committed the crimes. Arctic frost is the DOJ investigating crimes, their job. But in Ted Cruz's brain, and I use that term loosely, investigating crimes is committing crimes. Groundbreaking legal theory there, Ted. So why were these subpoenas happening? Because remember, after 2020, there were over 60 lawsuits claiming fraud. They went 0 for 60. Even Trump-appointed judges said, you've got nothing. They looked for bamboo in Arizona ballots. Bamboo, and still found nothing. But here's what did happen. They created fake elector certificates. Trump called Georgia asking them to find votes. We have the recording. They tried to get Pence to reject the electoral votes, which isn't a thing he can do. Otherwise, Al Gore would have been president and Biden would have given himself Obama's third term. And then came January 6th, conveniently timed to disrupt certification. So why does this conspiracy work? Because for MAGA, it's not about facts. These are people who thought JFK Jr. was coming back from the dead to be Trump's running mate, remember? When you believe that, investigating crimes is the real crime is actually pretty tame. It flips the script. No, you're the criminal for investigating our crime. Let's be clear. Watergate was a president committing crimes. This is law enforcement investigating crimes. Calling this Biden's Watergate is like calling a speeding ticket your Pearl Harbor. Arctic frost isn't a scandal. It's just the DOJ doing their job. But admitting that would require admitting what happened in 2020. So instead, we get Ted Cruz tweeting about political enemies lists while his party literally tried to throw out millions of votes. The irony would be hilarious if it wasn't so terrifying. But hey, at least we can laugh while democracy does the cha-cha slide toward the cliff.